What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back for another review of Sistas. This is season 8, episode 8, and let's get right into it. First things first, how is Gary not dead? Y'all, I'm not saying that I hated Gary's character that much that he don't need to be on the show no more, but let's be honest. All the things that have happened, and now him being drugged with the heavy type of drugs, and he's still alive and kicking? How? How, Sway? Then for the man to say, yeah, he's going to probably make a full recovery. Full recovery? Like, come on now. Give Gary at least, make him be paralyzed from the waist down. Or, say he going to have like some brain issues. I need something to happen to Gary. This ain't working for me. Because you have Hudson being oh so concerned, asking the doctors how Gary doing. And the man's like, yeah, he's going to make a full recovery. You kidding me? Then next thing you know, out of nowhere, here goes Penelope popping up. And the doctor is confused, like, who is this woman? So she's like, I'm Gary's fiance. Are you? Because the doctor already met Andy. So he like, well, who was that? Because ain't no way the man got two fiancés. What's going on? So Hudson said he going to take it from there. And honestly, this little conversation that Penelope was having, Miss P, was it you? Were you the person who was administering the heroin and fentanyl? Because you're giving the industry that you got something to do with this man being in the hospital bed, okay? Is giving that you may have been the person doing the stabbing. Nonetheless, Penelope is giving us, she is going to be hell on wheels. I will say this, the actress who plays Penelope is doing a really good job. Her acting is better than a few of the sisters, I gotta be honest. Y'all let me know in the comments who y'all think I'm talking about. But yeah, Penelope is here to stay, and I can't even knock it. Moving on from that, Danny, she invites her therapist over. Miss Mamas finally shows up. And basically, Danny starts this off by saying she's losing her man and her mind. I said, are you? Because I'm not sure if you're losing your mind. Because you're definitely standing on what you feel is right for you. Losing your man, that's a possibility. But really, you should have lost Tony a long time ago because Tony is nothing to keep. I'm sorry. Are we going to forget everything that happened last season with him and that ex-wife? Like, I'm never going to let us live that down because he was on the cusp of saying that she was going to take the kids with her to wherever she was going to be stationed, and he wasn't going to have that. Did we forget that whole scenario? But I digress. Let's focus on what's present. Basically, she tells Lucretia that Tony signed her up for the leadership program, right? Now, here's the thing also. I hate the way that Danny was explaining this, but my issue with him signing her up for the leadership program, I would have respected it more if they had a conversation where he's like, oh yeah, you know that the leadership program, the deadline is coming up, and then you could at least saw if she had interest in it or not. But no, you made the decision for her. But nonetheless, Danny, she tells her that she cursed Tony out, right? She's like, I've cussed him out or whatever. And the therapist asks her, like, so where did you curse him out? Was it in private? Now, Danny tells her that it was at lunch when they were with friends, right? I'm sorry, but I feel like Danny is leaving things out. Let's start with the fact that he approached you at your job, okay, to tell you this, and then y'all made a huge scene at the workplace. Then for you to have gone on your lunch break, and for that man, I guess he must have the location of where you are at all times because he popped up on you there to have this conversation. Keep in mind, this was less than an hour time apart, okay? So you were still hot. He probably was still upset as well. Like, let's tell the full story. That's all I'm saying. But moving on from that, Danny basically asked Lucretia if she messed things up with Tony, and the therapist is like, well, Tony's the only person to have that answer. So then I started to think, what was this? Is this how y'all therapy sessions be going? Because Miss Lucretia, I don't think you should get a check for this one. You gave her no advice. You didn't really tell her anything. What is she paying you a check for? Danny, this one should have been on the house. It really should have been. Because Danny is still in the same boat. No advice whatsoever. And also at the same time, I'm not understanding why Danny is so, oh my gosh, I might lose my man. Girl, he ain't doing nothing for you. I think that's my main issue with Tony. And I'm not saying that he has to buy her gifts or anything like that. This man is supposed to be a VP of a company. Nothing about him is giving VP. I'm sorry, it's not. He can walk around that airport with a suit on every time we see him, but it's still not giving VP. Because why is it that you are laid up in your girlfriend's studio apartment when you got a big old house that y'all can be living comfortably? I'm confused. Like, I'm sorry. If he's supposed to be the VP, he should have energy like Gary used to. Y'all remember how Gary used to just shower Andy with things? I feel like he should be doing the same thing. And I'm not saying it because it's materialistic, but like, dude, you have way more than her. Like, way, way more than her. Like, could you help my sister out? Like, are you paying her rent? Can we have that kind of conversation? Because I think that's more important. But I digress. Let's move on. So next we see Karen and Sabrina, right? First of all, this is when I realized we are finally in a new day. Because the ladies have on new outfits, okay? While, Daniela was still wearing her work outfit. But I digress. So basically, Karen shows up to Rich's juice bar to meet up with Sabrina to go over the business plan. She's brought, all the paperwork that she has, so that way they can really get Roots to Riches, off the ground, especially with the help of Marie, because she's going to have the financial backing. This could be a way for Karen to really provide for her kids. And one thing that I love about that is that Karen is not planning on depending on either baby father, okay? Yes, she does make, probably enough money as a salon owner to do a few things, but she could really be rolling in the dough if Roots to Riches blows up. You know what I'm saying? And she could be able to provide a lot for her daughters. Ooh, she may not have two girls. She may have a boy. Who knows? Her babies. And not have to depend so much on Zach's money or Aaron's money. Now, moving on from that, Andy finally gets to the hospital, right? Oh, baby. Hudson is pissed off. He's like, oh, finally you show up? I called you. I put the phone in Gary's ear because he woke up. And you finally show up? You didn't come yesterday? And she's like, well, I had guests over. I'm like, Andy, I don't even know what role you're playing anymore. I don't know if you're supposed to be the sad girl who almost lost her fiance, or if you're happy that Gary almost died. Can you figure out which side you on? Because it's confusing me and Hudson, okay? So we basically see Andy and Hudson go back and forth, right? Because Hudson is going to stand up for his man. He cannot stand Andy. Basically, he told her that if she is breathing, she lying. I'm like, dang, that's kind of cold. So she's over here trying to go see Gary. But Gary is somewhere getting some tests done. And next thing you know, Hudson and Andy is going back and forth. Something about Fatima being her assistant. And I don't know what he said about Fatima because I kind of wasn't listening. But all I know is that, no, he didn't say it about Fatima. He said something about Robin. And Andy ended up slapping him in the face. I said, oh, you can slap Hudson, but you didn't have hands for Penelope? Okay, girl. So basically, Andy is trying to tell Hudson that when Gary wakes up, she's going to make sure that number one, he fires Hudson, and number two, that she's going to make sure that she becomes power of attorney, blah, blah, blah. Baby, why she say that? Because while she over here, my man, who's creeping around the corner? Penelope. She said, oh, yo, man. Okay, girl, so I can see you and Gary, y'all was in cahoots together. So at one point, Hudson ends up leaving, and for some reason, Andy kind of repeats herself about 3 times, saying how she just needs to explain herself. I'm like, well, girl, get to explaining. Of course, we don't see her explain anything because we go to the next scene. And basically, Fatima, she's talking to Zach, and she tells Zach about the whole conversation that she had with Robin. How basically Robin is trying to pin this stabbing of Gary on her. And Zach's reaction was, oh my gosh, we're going to jail. And I'm just like, sir, you should be used to going to jail. Haven't you been there a few times? Or did I miss something? Moving on from there, back to Danny and Lucretia. They are still talking about Danny, and honestly, I feel like we still ain't got no resolve. And like, I know you're not going to get everything in one therapy session, but these scenes ain't doing it for me. So we going to go ahead and move on. Karen and Sabrina. You know, Sabrina is typing away. She's trying to get this business plan organized. And she says that, you know, Karen may actually have something with this Roots to Riches business. Now, after that, y'all, the conversation took a turn for me. Because basically, Sabrina is excited that Rich gave his sperm sample. Girl, I guess. However, this is where things got really weird. She ended up asking Karen, oh, girl, what you got, left to do today? And she's like, nothing. I'm just going to pretty much chill. Like, this was like my big thing that I had to do today. Like, I'm trying to understand what is wrong with the writers of this show. Because Karen just explained that, she got 2 kids by 2 different baby daddies, blah, blah, blah. Keep in mind, she's still pregnant, and Sabrina is asking her, what about her love life? What love life? Okay? I don't know why on this show, they're expecting everybody to be attracted to the pregnant woman. That is weird. Like, Karen is just now trying to get herself situated with the fact that she has 2 baby daddies by 2 men that she don't want to have kids by, if we want to be honest at this point. But here she is, and she ain't got time to focus on getting a man. She gotta be, oh, this just frustrates me. She needs to be focused on getting her businesses afloat, making sure the salon is good, making sure she's taking care of herself. Sabrina, go somewhere with this. Oh God, you guys, we go back to Andy and Penelope going back and forth about Andy saying that Gary was her man. When I tell you these two were draining me in this scene, draining me. And if Penelope dipped her shoulder one more time while she was talking, I was going to scream. Okay? Because you have Andy trying to explain that she's basically only doing this for optics. Penelope is like, you tried to ruin my life. You didn't want me to be with Gary. And my brother doesn't trust you. Oh my God, how many times we gonna have this same conversation? Like, we're beating a dead horse right now. So it gets to the point where Penelope says, don't come near my brother. You don't really love him. Blah, blah, blah. And baby Hudson come back in the room and he like, y'all still going back and forth? Is this still a thing? I said, baby, let me tell you something. I'm on Hudson's side, okay? We still doing this? Like, all because both of y'all want to be the fiance? It's giving Who's Really Married to Frankie Lyman. Are we watching Why the Fools Fall in Love right now? Alright, so moving on from that, we jump back over to Fatima and Zach, and they're trying to figure out what their next move is. So, of course, Zach is like, girl, you have a cousin that can, end all of this. while she taking out Robin, we can also take out Hayden. And she's like, no, we can't do that or whatever. All right, fine. So then Zach is like, well, maybe, these two guys are teaming up. Maybe Hayden and Robin are teaming up. And Fatima's like, no, that can't be it. Because they don't really like each other like that. So these two basically sit there and try to figure out how they can, number one, clear their names, number two, clear Andy's name, and number three, some type of way figure out what everybody's motive is. Because Fatima feel like she cool with Robin, but at the same time, she don't know what his actual intentions are. Then when it comes to Hayden, she feels like there's something going on with him. She just can't pinpoint what it is. So basically, Fatima comes up with the bright idea that Zach needs to follow Hayden in his every move. Again, y'all know what I really want from Fatima? It's for her to just do her job and mind her business. That's all I want, but that's not what they gonna give us. Moving back over to Danny and Lucretia, y'all, this therapy session is still happening, and she wants to know, why does Danny keep leaning on all of these vices? Now, keep in mind, Danny's vices are smoking her vape, drinking, as well as sex, right? Now, Danny says that the reason why she vapes so much is because it keeps her calm. Now, I found it interesting that Lucretia was like, yeah, we're going to work on, abstinence from all of these vices. I said, oh, baby, I'm not sure how Tony's going to feel about you mentioning abstaining from sex, considering that is what him and Danny's relationship is completely built off of, considering they have sex every day, according to Danny. Yeah, I don't know how well Tony's going to take that, but nonetheless, Miss Mama's Lucretia, she wants Danny to go ahead and use some other tools. I said, okay, we'll see how that works out. Now, moving on from that, we get to Karen and Sabrina, and they talk about how Zach is with Fatima, and basically that ship has sailed. They can co-parent together, but there's not going to be any type of romantic relationship between Karen and Zach. And then Sabrina, she ends up bringing up Aaron. And I'm just like, girl, where have you been? Like, have you not been in the conversations that Karen has had? That she don't really like Aaron like that? She always sending that man away? Like, are you okay, Sabrina? I think it's crazy that your friend is literally about to have twins and you're questioning her about who she wants to be with romantically, when this woman has clearly stated that she's trying to focus on herself, focus on her business, and focus on her babies. That's crazy. So Karen is basically like, girl, where is all of this coming from? And Sabrina's response is that, I just don't want my girls to be alone. Bye, Sabrina. Goodbye, Sabrina. Like, Karen has been through enough trying to manage dating two men, or I shouldn't even say dating. She has tried to manage being with, in the physical space with two men. And baby, that turned out to have two babies. Let that girl be single, please. Let her figure it out. Like, I thought it was so crazy that Sabrina was trying to have this conversation with Karen. I'm like, girl, what is wrong with you? I get it, you're with Rich, but that don't mean that everybody at the moment has to be dating. Be so for real. Now, moving on from that, Andy, she goes to see Gary, y'all. And before Gary can tell Andy anything, because he tried to lean in and tell her something, here comes Penelope. She strolls in. Now, we already know this girl, again, is hell on wheels. So she's sitting up here being completely upset because Andy is meeting in here with Gary. She's so mad that Andy's in here. She's so mad at Gary. And here's the crazy part. This man said he don't even remember her. Oh, baby. When he said he couldn't remember her, that really upset her. Because how can you remember Andy and not remember Penelope? And she just in there acting a fool. Completely acting a fool. Like, Penelope, go on somewhere. Like, it was cool at first when you was slapping Andy around. But this right here, baby, you doing way too much. The man said he don't remember you. Just go on somewhere. Now, moving on from there, we see Danny and Tony. And basically, he asks her about her therapy session. Sometimes I get annoyed when he asks her about her therapy sessions because it's given he wants her to open up and say everything that happened in that session, and she never does. But nonetheless, my other question is, why are we having this conversation at work? Because you have Danny, just saying, oh, I'm going to try to work on this, that, another with Lucretia, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, but why can't y'all have this conversation at home? This is giving weird. So then she says, yeah, and I'm going to actually do this leadership program. I said, Danny, if you don't get the fuck on, because you just sat up here, got extremely mad for nothing, for you to then decide that you're going to do the leadership program. What was the purpose? What was the point? Like, you just blew up on this man for nothing if that's the case. If you were going to do the leadership program, then why did we have this whole situation happen? Or are you deciding to do the leadership program because you're trying to keep a man? Because that's what it's giving. It's giving that you're trying to do the leadership program so that way you can keep Tony, because you kept asking Lucretia, did I lose my man? That's giving crazy. Like, girl, are you that hung up on having a man? Do better for yourself. Like, get yourself situated. Nonetheless, here's the thing what I peeped. A whole nother person has noticed that Danny and Tony are interacting in the way that they're interacting. I said, oh, baby, this is about to be a storyline. Also, it did not help that he kissed her on the cheek. I said, again, inappropriate. Tony has been quite inappropriate with Danny in the workplace, okay? Multiple times. It's never her being inappropriate with him. It's always the other way around. And I'm just like, if that's the case, let's take it out on him and not on her. Okay? Moving on from that, we see Maurice and Paige at work. Paige ends up calling out Sabrina because when Sabrina showed up to work, she was a little bit late. She was literally a minute late. And Sabrina is like, that doesn't matter because at the end of the day, baby, I'm the boss. Y'all got to show up on time. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Oh, as she's about to walk away, little Miss Paige, she says that the only reason why Sabrina has the position is because of affirmative action. Baby, I don't know how Sabrina did not punch that girl. So Sabrina ends up telling her, like, no, I'm qualified for the job, unlike you, all this stuff. I'm just like, girl, I don't know how you contain yourself. Like, how? Because I would have popped her. Matter of fact, that would have been Paige's last day at the job. Like, girl, you just a bank teller. Let's be so for real. You can get fired. Moving on. Penelope is going around slapping any and everybody, okay? Because she literally slapped Gary because he don't remember her. So Andy is trying to stop Penelope, but Penelope is still trying to cause a scene. She's yelling like, how do you not remember me? And I was pregnant with your baby. Girl, get a grip. So then Hudson, he ends up hollering for the guard to take Penelope up out of here, baby. The guard don't show up, but the doctor does. The doctor shows up. Penelope is still out here acting a fool. The doctor's like, baby, you got to get up out of here. Hudson has to remove Penelope. I'm like, yo, Penelope, what's going on here? Like, you've been on 10? Actually, no, you ain't even been on 10. You've been on 100 since you popped back into the scene. And it's giving guilty. Because, girl, I get it. He made your life a living hell, but why you at the hospital? That's a little weird. Especially when you don't want to be around Gary. You left witness protection. Like, child, this whole situation is stupid. It's so stupid. But moving on. Andy goes to see the doctor. And basically we learn Penelope is banned from the hospital at this point because she acted a fool. Andy is trying to figure out, yo, what's going on with this man's memory? Is he going to come back? And baby, before the doctor can say anything, here comes Hudson yelling about this goddamn power of attorney. When I tell you he is annoying me, because baby, we can't get no information because here he go waving his power of attorney flag. Like, dude, relax. So the doctor, he don't say anything to Andy about it or whatever. And then the next thing you know, we see Andy make a phone call. And she's like, oh, I need to see you. That's what she says. So I can't lie. It was kind of given that maybe she called Robin. Because I didn't think that she called Jordan. But I was wrong. We gonna move on. We see Pam. She's at the salon. And Karen ends up coming in. Basically, Pam is on the phone trying to tell this customer, girl, listen, the way your head shape is set up, that's not the hairstyle for you. We gonna find something else that works. I thought that was funny. But baby, here's the thing. Aaron randomly shows up. And I can't lie. I was all here for seeing Aaron. But at the same time, I hate the fact that we're seeing Aaron right after Karen had that conversation with Sabrina. Why are we seeing him after she had this conversation about how she's single and focused on, her business and her babies? We could have saw him sooner rather than later. But I digress. Moving on from that, because I feel like there's always some catch when it comes to Aaron coming around. It's very strange. But moving on from that, Andy actually called Fatima, right? And I was pretty much irritated because my whole thing is now you can answer the phone. Now you have time to talk to Fatima when you was brushing her off when she was blowing your phone up. Okay, Andy, because right, everything's out of convenience for you. Like, you made sure Robin got in the house. You made sure you saw Jordan. You made sure you saw your girls. But what's crazy is that when that girl was blowing your phone up, it could have been very serious. You completely brushed her off and you got off the phone. You rushed her off the phone. And my whole thing is, Fatima, do you not see that Andy ain't your friend? Girl, get it together. Nonetheless, they're at the penthouse again. And here's my thing. First of all, Andy, you can't call somebody over to your house and then you don't want to tell your news first. You want to wait on them to tell you what they had to say. I'm just like, girl, just say whatever you got to say, Andy. But nonetheless, she tells Fatima to go first. All right, cool. So Fatima basically tells her what's going on at the firm, okay? Fatima's like, listen, I don't trust Robin. She tells her about Hayden taking over her caseload and how, she has to be his paralegal. What else did she tell her? Oh, she ended up telling Andy the fact that, Robin, he got a hold of those pictures of her being thrown down to the ground and basically is trying to pin this whole Gary situation on her. Now, what's crazy is that when Robin was talking to Fatima, I wasn't even really paying attention to the way that he was saying things, but she's right. He absolutely threatened her into playing ball, or he was going to go to the police with those incriminating photos. So that is where I did kind of give Robin a side eye, because it's like, yo, that's absolutely not the way you should be acting, especially with somebody who works for your company. But I get it. You don't give a fuck about Fatima the same way Andy don't, because she ain't Andy. And your whole thing is that you want to get Andy off. It probably in multiple ways. Now, moving on from that, Andy's like, okay, well, let me tell you what's going on with Gary. Gary's still alive, but also Penelope has turned Jordan against me, and she actually slapped me in the face, right? So Fatima ends up grabbing Andy to be like, girl, I'm about to teach you how to fight. I said, girl, good luck. Good luck trying to teach Andy how to, throw them bows. I don't see it happening. But moving on from that, y'all, we get to the last scene. It's Penelope in the parking lot, okay? Her brother ends up popping up and joining her in the car. Y'all, this is where we find out who actually stabbed Gary. Oh, it was Penelope. And baby, it made all the sense as to why she out here acting a fool. And I'm just like, girl, you committed a whole crime by stabbing someone, and you're popping up as if you didn't do it? That's crazy. Because you should be thanking God that Gary don't remember you. Because you're going to jail. Okay, Penelope? You're going to jail. How in the world did you let Gary flip all of this around? You should have been in protective custody, minding your business. But no, you just had to break free. Chad, I guess. Y'all, that was the episode. Let me know what y'all thought about it. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.